After my boyfriend betrayed me, I had him fed to the dogs. Zhou Liang'an's childhood sweetheart is about to hold a press conference, but doesn't have a design. He actually stole my designs for the New Year's product launch. If the product launch fails, I'll be fired by the company and will have to pay a huge amount of compensation and damages to the company. I checked the surveillance and begged him to return my designs, but he coldly pushed me away. Yunqing just borrowed them. She'll return them once her designs are ready. Don't be so petty and keep fighting with her. Later, his childhood sweetheart ruined the press conference and destroyed my designs. She cried and hugged Zhou Liang'an, saying it was unintentional. Zhou Liang'an patiently wiped away her tears and gently comforted her. It's okay, you have me. If you run out of money, I'll take care of you. To hell with you. I'm done playing house with you too. I coldly packed my things and went home. I was stupid to insist on living a hard life with him before, but now I'm going back home to be the pampered rich girl I was meant to be. Why do you keep sulking during the new year? Just because I borrowed your work? I'll return it to you later. Zhou Liang'an angrily poked me. I looked up and gave him a cold glance, then turned to the kitchen to wash an apple and eat it. Sister-in-law, look at you being so petty. I'll hurry up and finish the drawings to return them to you in a couple of days. Only our Liang'an brother can put up with you like this. Any other man would have already flipped out. Chun Yunqing had one hand on Zhou Liang'an's shoulder and the other wrapped around his neck. Zhou Liang'an approvingly patted her hand. The two exchanged glances, as if they hadn't noticed my presence. Yunqing, it's rare to find a good brother with a character like yours. Besides, I got married right after graduation, so even if I had any thoughts now, I could only suppress them. Zhou Liang'an, seemingly lost in thought, shook his head with a sigh. I looked at his critical gaze and instantly felt that he had a hidden agenda. Zhou Liang'an, what do you mean by that? Are you fed up? Want a divorce? Fine, let's divorce. I sat down on the sofa angrily, looking at them with cold eyes. I was already upset because my work was stolen, and now he's adding insult to injury with his sarcastic remarks. This work was the result of 6 months' hard work. I signed a contract for it, and if the launch event didn't go successfully, I would be fired by the company and also have to pay a penalty of $1 million. It wouldn't have mattered if Zhou Liang'an didn't know, but he casually commented when I signed the contract, "Make sure you don't screw up, or we'll never be able to pay back even if we sell everything we have." Now he's destroyed everything for me, just to help his childhood buddy through a tough time. But who is there to help me through my tough times? Thinking of this, I took out my phone and glanced at my dad's WeChat. It seems I'll have to ask my dad for help. Sister-in-law, who is this man? Could he be your lover? Chun Yunqing suddenly snatched my phone and rudely clicked on my dad's profile picture and moments. I never had the habit of giving nicknames to WeChat friends, so my dad's nickname was just one character. Hi. Give it back to me. I stood up angrily, trying to grab my phone. Chun Yunqing deliberately dangled it, throwing the phone high up in the air. During our struggle, the phone fell to the ground and shattered with cracks all over it. I angrily pushed Chun Yunqing, and her hand happened to press down on the broken tempered glass, creating a large cut. What are you, crazy? Why do you have to fight with Yunqing? Look at how petty you are, it really disgusts me. Zhou Liang'an nervously stepped forward to support her, looking at me with anger. My phone had unfinished design drafts. Now that the phone is broken, I don't even know if the data can be recovered. Besides, if Chun Yunqing hadn't snatched my phone, I wouldn't have pushed her. But Zhou Liang'an didn't listen to my explanation at all. He directly carried Chun Yunqing horizontally into the bedroom for disinfection. Zhou Liang'an, don't you think your behavior is a bit excessive now? Who is the mistress of this house? I coldly watched their backs. Chun Yunqing's hand was injured, but you would think her leg was broken. Zhou Liang'an didn't even look back. You're the one who did something wrong. I'm just helping you correct your mistakes. Yunqing's hand is injured. Do you really need to keep harping on these trivial matters? His tone was so cold it was like talking to a stranger, as if I was being unreasonable. But once the door was closed, I heard his tone become exceptionally gentle. Yunqing, does it hurt? I'll be more careful. It's all Zhao Cici's recklessness. When I go out, I'll scold her for you. Just rest and recover at my house. No one can drive you away. I squatted down and picked up the shattered phone. Pressing the power button had no effect. The screen was completely black. I turned to the bedroom to grab some change, planning to go out and get the screen fixed, so I could quickly recover the manuscript data on the phone, but Zhou Liang'an stopped me. Where are you going? Hurry up and cook for Yunqing. She needs to replenish her blood. Before I could say anything, Zhou Liang'an had already started listing the dishes. Sister-in-law, remember not to add any chili. I don't like it. Thank you. Chun Yunqing's voice came from the bedroom, as if she wasn't the one arguing with me just now. Why should I have to cook for her after she smashed my phone? I angrily walked into the room and lay down on the bed, sulking. At that moment, a warm flow came from underneath me, and the sign of my period made me even more irritable. You're not going to cook? Fine, I'll take Yunqing out to eat. You stay at home and think about what you did wrong. Zhou Yong'an pointed angrily at my nose and cursed me as I went back to the room. Then he slammed the door heavily and left with Chun Yunqing. The two of them were affectionate like a couple, while I felt like a discarded clown. They didn't even bother to ask me to join them for the meal. I thought I should have some place in Zhou Yong'an's heart, but it seems that the one who truly occupies his heart has never been me. I was just being delusional. I got up from bed, walked to the study, and opened my laptop. Seeing my father's familiar profile picture, my eyes couldn't help but redden. Dad, I want to come home. After sending this message to my dad, tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. I thought that as long as I could overcome the distance and time, I could be with Zhou Yong'an forever. I even went so far as to sever ties with my father and travel thousands of miles to marry him. But reality gave me a harsh lesson. Turns out, those who don't listen to their parents and marry far away are really not happy. My father quickly replied with just one sentence. Welcome home, my little princess. Immediately, he sent a driver to pick me up, and all I had to do was wait. It wasn't until late into the night that Chun Yunqing and Zhou Yong'an stumbled in, drunk. Their fingers intertwined, they fell onto the sofa and leaned against each other as soon as they walked in the door. Watching them being so intimate with each other made my heart sink to the bottom. A single insincere sweet talk won me over, making me believe it was love, so I married him alone. Yet some people can win his blatant favoritism without doing anything. It turns out that he never had me in his heart. It was all my wishful thinking. The next morning, as soon as I opened my eyes, I felt a pain in my stomach like someone was slowly slicing my skin with a knife and pressing on my uterus. What are you doing? I sat up and saw Zhou Yong'an standing by my bed. Yunqing drank too much yesterday and threw up all over the place. The room reeks, hurry up and clean it. Zhou Yong'an pulled on my arm to drag me down. As soon as he pulled me like that, I immediately felt blood flowing from my lower body as if a faucet had been turned on. Let go of me. Impatiently, I pulled my hand back and turned to glance below me. Sure enough, blood had stained the sheets. You are disgusting. Change these sheets immediately. I don't want to sleep on sheets with blood. If I had known you were so stupid to get menstrual blood on the sheets, you should have worn an adult diaper like a disabled person who can't take care of themselves. Zhou Yong'an took several steps back immediately upon seeing the blood on the sheets, looking at me with disgust. Liang'an, come quick, I feel awful. Chun Yunqing called out to him sweetly from the next room. I'm coming. You've been throwing up all night. I'll get you some brown sugar water. When Zhou Yong'an heard Chun Yunqing calling him, he jogged to the kitchen to get her a cup of brown sugar water. Then, he carried Chun Yunqing princess style to my bedroom and placed her next to me. What are you doing? Seeing Chun Yunqing reeking of alcohol lying next to me, I looked at Zhou Yong'an in disbelief. Was he letting another woman sleep in our bedroom? Do I have no privacy anymore? If you don't want her here, then hurry up and get her room ready. Otherwise, just let her lie here for now. Zhou Yong'an thoughtfully covered Chun Yunqing with a blanket and wiped the slight sweat off her forehead. Meanwhile, I was pale from menstrual cramps and didn't even get a word of concern from him. Watching Chun Yunqing sprawled out beside me, I couldn't control my temper any longer and kicked her to the floor. Chun Yunqing cried out in pain, sat up, leaned her head against the edge of the bed, and then vomited all over it. I quickly jumped off the bed, my eyes reddening as I looked at the mess in the room. Zhou Yong'an must be trying to force me to leave on my own, deliberately disgusting me. Enduring the severe pain, I started to pack my things. I remembered that I had my salary in the drawer of the wardrobe, tens of thousands I had earned through hard work. Zhou Yong'an, where is my money? I extended my hand to Zhou Yong'an. He averted his gaze for a moment. I took your money, ruined Yunqing's press conference, and yesterday we treated the investors to dinner and gave them lavish gifts. I'll pay you back when I have the money. His words made me completely lose hope. I nodded, pulled my suitcase and walked out, just as the driver knocked on the door outside. Zhao Sisi, who is this man? Zhou Yang heard the commotion and rushed over, looking angrily at the driver. You have your childhood sweetheart, and I have mine. Isn't that normal? I laughed coldly, no longer looking at him, and let the driver carry my suitcase out of the Zhou family home. When I got home, there were two business partners asking my dad for a favor. They were holding a bag that looked eerily familiar. It was the same bucket bag I used to store money in my cabinet. The money you're holding looks really familiar. It was just taken from my cabinet yesterday. Our family will never do business with someone like you. I walked over, opened the bucket bag, and found 100,000 yuan left inside. With a cold laugh, I pushed the bag towards the business partners. The business partner's happy expression immediately vanished when he saw me take the wallet, and he looked at me with confusion. I wouldn't kindly explain it to them. They must figure out the reason themselves to get even more upset. I asked the butler to see the guest out and noticed that Dad couldn't help but get teary-eyed. After crying in Dad's arms for a while, I stood up and wiped my tears, feeling a bit embarrassed. All right, since you're back, make a clean break with the past. You'll always be the little princess of the Zhao family. Go back and get some sleep. When you wake up, go report to the company. It's finally my turn to rest. Dad gently patted my head. The moment I opened my eyes the next day, I saw several missed calls from Zhou Liang'an on my phone. As soon as I called back, the other end answered almost immediately. Zhao Cici, you didn't really go fool around with that guy from yesterday, did you? We haven't broken up yet and you dare to cheat on me? That guy drives a Rolls-Royce, must be pretty rich, huh? You're so shameless, selling yourself out for money. Zhou Liang'an's furious voice came from the phone. Did you call just to say this? I snorted coldly. Even now, he thinks he hasn't done anything wrong. Did you ask that rich man to target Yunqing? We had everything settled during our meal yesterday, so why did the opposite side back out today? You are truly malicious. Hurry up and help Yunqing get through the press conference. Otherwise, how is she going to compensate that much money? Zhou Liang'an's irritable tone became particularly gentle when he mentioned Chen Yunqing's name. You keep mentioning Chen Yunqing. If she can't pay, do you think I can? You make it sound nice, but you two are the real scumbag and bitch. I hope you stay locked together and don't come out to harm others. Annoyed, I cursed twice and hung up the phone, blocking his number. A week later, my father held a welcome home dinner party for me, inviting quite a number of business partners and wealthy second-generation heirs from our circle. When I walked in, I saw Zhou Liang'an and Chen Yunqing not far away. Everyone here today is someone important. We must hold on to them tightly. As long as someone is willing to invest, the press conference will be written off. The two of them kept muttering there. At this moment, they saw me coming over with a look of mockery. Zhao Cici, what are you doing here? Is this a place where you belong? Before I could speak, I saw the driver walking over with my phone. You left your phone in the car? Today all the servants of the Zhao family were wearing uniforms. Zhou Liang'an looked at the driver's clothes and started laughing. Zhao Cici, it turns out you've found a rich family's driver. You're really trying to look impressive. He pointed at the driver, laughing uncontrollably. Dad saw this scene on the stage and immediately picked up the microphone and said loudly, Cici, come up and let everyone see my precious daughter so that some people stop being blind. I elegantly walked up to the stage, stepping on Zhou Liang'an's foot along the way. Step aside, blind. He didn't even let out a fart, staring blankly at me. Are you the daughter of the Zhao group? I glanced at him without saying a word and directly walked onto the stage to introduce myself. After I finished speaking, I saw Zhou Liang'an and Chen Yunqing's faces turning increasingly pale, staring at me in disbelief. When I stepped off the stage, I was surrounded by people eager to please me, and I saw that Zhou Liang'an was among them. He finally squeezed through the crowd to greet me, his tie slightly askew. Cici, calm down and come home with me. A fawning smile was plastered on his face. As soon as he said this, the entire room fell silent, and everyone's eyes started darting back and forth between him and me. Sleep with you? The three of us living together is better than anything? Or do you think the daughter of the Zhao group would be so desperate for love that she needs to find a two-timing man? I pointed at Chen Yunqing, who was standing nearby, with a slight smile. Today, the two of them were dressed in matching outfits, clearly indicating a deep relationship. Isn't this a real-life toad? Shamelessly wanting to have both what's in the bowl and what's in the pot. Exactly. If Miss Zhao is willing, what kind of wealthy young man wouldn't she be able to attract? Why would she insist on being with this dream man? It's disgusting. People around glanced at Zhou Liang'an with disdain, continuously speaking ill of him. I waved to that person. After all, I liked hearing this, so I encouraged them to say more. Receiving my signal, that person immediately became more spirited. Looking at you. Have you slept too much and not fully woken up yet? Are you trying so hard to find a rich guy that you've thrown all your dignity away? And you, dressed to show off your chest and legs, this is a banquet, not your workplace. The business partner pointed at Chen Yunqing and scolded her as well. Chen Yunqing was trying to use her figure to attract a rich man, and now seeing everyone staring at her chest, she felt a bit embarrassed and lowered her head. All right then, Be at the company at 8 o'clock sharp tomorrow morning so we can discuss the cooperation. I raised my hand and looked at the partner, saying, opportunities are for those who are prepared. Seeing that just saying 2 sentences was enough to discuss cooperation with me, others stared wide-eyed and menacingly surrounded Zhou Liang'an and Chen Yunqing. They were like aggressive netizens, cursing from their ancestors to their descendants. Even with Zhou Liang'an and Chen Yunqing's thick skins, they couldn't withstand so many people pointing at their noses and cursing them, and they hung their heads, wanting to leave. Before they could exit, a waiter stretched out his leg and tripped Chen Yunqing, causing her to fall to the ground. Her evening dress was torn with a large rip from the thigh up to the chest. The most shocking thing was that she was actually braless underneath, not even wearing a strapless bra. Everyone witnessing this scene took out their phones to get a close-up shot of her. Chen Yunqing turned back and gave me a fierce look, her face flushed red as she quickly ran away. I glanced around at everyone. You all know what to do, right? Everyone hurriedly sent the photos from their phones to their media contacts to give a good impression of me. I watched their actions and nodded in satisfaction. I couldn't wait to see how shameless Chen Yunqing could get. After the banquet, Chen Yunqing became an overnight sensation. The photos of her falling and having a wardrobe malfunction were so high resolution, it was as if they were taken right next to her. Most importantly, some uninformed netizens believed she fell on purpose to attract attention, leaving Chen Yunqing unable to defend herself. She could only angrily smash her keyboard at home and argue with netizens, but that wasn't even the worst part. Because she messed up her press conference, the company demanded that she cover the total loss of $5 million. But she was now penniless and living off others. Now this was going to be a good show. Chen Yunqing, having no money, tearfully slept with Zhou Liang'an. She expected Zhou Liang'an to ask me for the money, since we had just broken up, and she thought I still had feelings for that scumbag. Wasn't that just wishful thinking? When Zhou Liang'an came to the company to find me, he was kicked out by the security guard and didn't even get close to the elevator. To see me, he stood downstairs with a loudspeaker and kept shouting, "Zhao Cici, you played with my feelings. Now I'm going to die." Recently, I took over the company and many media outlets were preparing to cover my relationship with the rich second generation. Although he's a poor guy, he's still some kind of story. They surrounded Zhou Liang'an and asked about our relationship history. Zhou Liang'an cried and said I abandoned him and played with his feelings. For a while, I became the real-life version of Chen Shimi, the despicable capitalist that everyone could scold. When I went out, I had to have 2 bodyguards protect me, otherwise I would get pelted with rotten eggs. In the crowd, I saw Zhou Liang'an looking at me smugly, waving his phone. A text from an unknown number arrived. "Give me 50 million and I'll shut up." He's really asking for a lot. Does he really think he's worth that much? If it weren't for the fact that our group has garnered much attention recently, I wouldn't even bother with him. So I called Chen Yunqing's company, which is one of our small subsidiaries. "Hurry up and get the penalty from Chen Yunqing for breaching the contract. If you don't strip her to the bone, I'll strip you to the bone." I hung up the phone after finishing speaking. Chen Yunqing was once again asked by the company to a meeting, insisting that she should quickly pay the penalty for breach of contract. Zhou Liang was anxiously pacing around, but he simply couldn't meet me. In short, it's just one sentence. Do whatever you want, it's none of my business. Although I didn't see him, I personally met Chen Yunqing. "Aren't you out of money? I can give you 5 million, but I have one condition." I took out a blank check from my bag and placed it on the table. "Tell me, whatever the condition is, I will do it." Chen Yunqing stared at the check intently, not daring to blink. "Zhou Liang'an dumped me. I'm very angry. Figure out a way to get back at him. As long as I'm happy, I'll give you this money." After saying that, I pushed the check toward her. "It's nothing, just a small matter." Chen Yunqing took the check, immediately wrote her name on it, and stuffed it into her pocket, fearing I would ask for it back. After that, I had someone closely follow the 2 of them. After Chen Yunqing paid her penalty fee, she began staying out all night. Zhou Liang'an became anxious and often called her, but his calls were rejected. Later, Chen Yunqing came back crying, her body covered in bruises. "Who did this to you?" Zhou Liang'an looked at Chen Yunqing angrily, roaring continuously. "They said everything would be settled after I drank, but when I woke up, I found." Chen Yunqing collapsed in his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "I will go settle the score with them." Zhou Liang'an wanted to call the police immediately, but was stopped by Chen Yunqing. The 2 of them began to plan how to get rid of the boss who had violated Chen Yunqing, and then devised a detailed and thorough plan. Soon, Zhou Liang'an disappeared into the pitch-black night. That day, it was pouring rain, and driving conditions were so poor that it was impossible to see ahead clearly. When the big boss finished his meal and drinks and was being driven home, he saw someone standing in the middle of the road. "Are you out of your mind?" The driver opened the window and yelled at him. Seeing that Zhou Liang'an didn't come down, he got out of the car to confront him. Song Liang'an seized the opportunity to bypass the driver, jumped into the main driver's seat, and floored the gas pedal to escape. The big boss in the back seat was fast asleep and had no idea that a great disaster was about to befall him. Soon, Song Liang'an found a secluded spot to stop the car, using the rope he had prepared to wrap around the big boss's neck several times and tightened it forcefully. The big boss went to heaven without suffering at all. Seeing that the person was dead, Song Liang'an drove the car to a reservoir, disguising it as a drunk driving accident. After taking care of all the traces, he happily returned home to find Chen Yunqing.
Q.
Inking, "I have already killed him. No one will ever know that you were raped. Let's sell the house and use the money to live abroad." Zhou Liang'an looked at Chen Yunqing with some excitement and grabbed her hand, about to walk out. But as soon as he stood up, he saw two policemen enter through the door. "Zhou Liang'an, you are suspected of intentional homicide. Come with us." After showing the relevant documents, the police handcuffed Zhou Liang'an. "What are you talking about? I didn't kill anyone. I didn't." Although Zhou Liang'an was panicking inside, it didn't show on his face. He just shouted innocently, "Liang'an, although I like you, I really can't stand it anymore. Do you have paranoia? I was never raped, and I have never seen the person you talked about." Chen Yunqing looked at Zhou Liang'an with tears all over her face. This fool only realized at that moment that he had been deceived by Chen Yunqing. But he couldn't understand why Chen Yunqing, despite all his kindness towards her, would harm him. In the end, Zhou Liang'an was taken away by the police. Following his arrest and imprisonment, I had the company's legal department issue a statement immediately. The main content of the document is that I had previously interacted with Zhou Liang'an, but somehow he found out about my identity as a rich second generation, and as a result, he started fantasizing that I was his girlfriend. I didn't want to argue with someone who seemed like a lunatic, so I never mentioned it before. Now that he has even committed murder, I began to take it seriously. At this point, everyone who had been insulting me started to apologize, saying they had been deceived by Zhou Liang'an. To make it up to me, our company's marketing performance doubled, and now counting the money can make our hands cramp. After Zhou Liang'an was taken away by the police, a psychiatric evaluation was conducted on him. The mental health expert confirmed that he is normal, so he was completely lucid at the time of the crime. Zhou Liang'an kept clamoring that Chen Yunqing had framed him, but he couldn't provide any evidence. After all, Chen Yunqing had only verbally enticed him earlier, and there was no evidence at all. In the end, Zhou Liang'an admitted defeat and was sentenced to life imprisonment. When I heard this news, I was so excited that I drank an extra glass of wine. Just thinking about how he had betrayed me in the past made me feel nauseous. "Miss, there's someone outside claiming to be Chen Yunqing who wants to see you. She looks pretty aggressive," the butler told me immediately after receiving the call from outside. "Let her in. Go, and prepare what needs to be prepared. I have a gift for her." I swirled the wine glass in my hand, a slight smile on my lips. What should come has come. After all, no one can resist the temptation of money, especially such a greedy woman. "Zhao Sisi, I'm out of money now. If you don't give me some, I'll spill all your dirty deeds." Chen Yunqing's eyes flashed with jealousy as she looked at my luxurious dinner when she walked in. Even when asking for money, the amount had turned into 10 million. What did I do? "Explain yourself clearly." I glanced at her dismissively. "You told me to take revenge on Zhou Liang'an. I acted according to your plan." Seeing that I was ignoring her, Chen Yunqing panicked and took out the recording of the day I gave her the check from her pocket. "Is there a problem with this recording?" But that day I only told her to play a trick on Zhou Liang'an. I never told her to incite murder. How could this happen? "You clearly said so." Chen Yunqing was stunned after listening to it once, because the recording only had the first half of my giving her a check. The second half, the plan I personally made, was not recorded. This idiot dared to come to me, justified and assertive, even though she'd been schemed against. The means of capital are endless. I could crush her with just one finger. Where does she get the nerve to come find me? "Do you have anything else?" Seeing that she had no other evidence, I got up to leave. "Wait a moment. After all, you slept with Zhou Liang'an for such a long time. You might not know this, but I have an intimate video of the two of you. Once this video spreads out, your company will be shamed because of you, and then everyone will see your perfect, hot body. So, I'm asking for 10 million, no 50 million. That's not too much to ask, right?" Chen Yunqing glanced at me, then sat across from me with a smile and looked at me. "Not too much. I looked at her and smiled. The more I praised her for being brave, the more she dared to push my boundaries. Give me the money now. As long as you give me the money, I'll shut up and destroy the video immediately. Chen Yunqing gave me a triumphant look. I clapped my hands, and the butler covered her mouth with a towel. Soon, Chen Yunqing was silenced. Miss, what should we do with her? The butler glanced at me. Take people to search. We must find the video. As for her, if she dares to threaten me, she must be tired of living. Lock her up for now. She will leave with Zhou Liang'an when the time comes. I gave Chen Yunqing a cold look and went upstairs to sleep. Anyone who dares to threaten me won't see the light of the next day. After my afternoon nap, the butler respectfully handed me a USB drive at my room door. Miss, here it is. Nothing was missed. I threw the USB drive into the fish tank, turned around and drove out. In the prison, I saw a starving Zhou Liang'an. You've gotten thinner. How about I find someone to get you out? I squeezed out some tears, looking as though I felt sorry for him. Okay, Cece, I was wrong. I won't dare to do anything to wrong you again. Please get me out of here. Zhou Liang'an looked at me with tears all over his face, wishing he could leave with me right now. Then you cooperate with me at that time, and I will definitely get you out. I nodded, holding his hand tightly without letting go. It wasn't until the prison guard said the time was up that I had to let go. Remember to hint to the expert when he comes tomorrow? After he walked back in, I took the wet wipe handed by the prison guard and wiped my hand with disgust. The next day, a mental health expert went to evaluate Zhou Liang'an again. This time, he cooperated very well, nodding and shaking his head, and was eventually diagnosed by the expert with severe persecutory delusion. With this report, I easily brought him out of the prison. Cece, where are we going? Why is it getting more and more remote? Zhou Liang'an sat in the car, looking at the increasingly remote mountains and fearfully tugged at my clothes, his eyes constantly darting around. We're going to my villa in the mountains. As a murderer, it's not good for you to show yourself in public. Otherwise, I can't explain it to the public. I pulled my clothes away from him and subtly moved a little distance from him. Zhou Liang'an nodded in agreement and then closed his eyes to sleep peacefully. When he opened his eyes again, we had arrived at a feng shui treasure land, surrounded by skulls. This was the grave I personally chose for him. This isn't a villa. This is a mass grave. You, Zhao Cece, how dare you deceive me? I want to go back to prison. Zhou Liang'an glanced at the skeletons scattered around and instantly realized I had tricked him. He immediately turned his head to run, but was stopped by the bodyguards I had brought along, who threw him to the ground like a chick. I heard you recorded the video of us. You've got some nerve. If you want to die, I can send you to hell early. You really don't know what's good for you. I gazed at him being held down by the bodyguards and went up to give him a slap. The freshly done manicure left several marks on his face. Cece, I only took one photo. Just admire you. I liked you so much at that time. I was wrong, I was really wrong. Let me go back, and I will destroy the video immediately. I swear I will never appear in front of you again in this lifetime. Zhou Liang'an immediately knelt on the ground and kept bowing to me, stammering slightly out of nervousness. Because he kept using too much force, his forehead was bleeding. Now you realize you were wrong? Too late. Why didn't you say this when you were betraying me? Originally, I promised my father that as long as you could stay with me peacefully for 2 years, I would take you home as the son-in-law of the Zhao family. You're squandering such wealth and still dare to secretly film me. Go to hell. I kicked him directly in the chest. Zhou Liang'an fell back, his head hitting a large rock, and blood soon started to seep out. He didn't dare to cry out in pain and kept begging me for mercy. Zhang Yunqing, who had been watching silently, was so frightened that she didn't dare to say a word, fearing that I would turn my attention to her. Don't hide. You're not any better. Only one of you can walk out of here today. Who wants to go first? Remember, you must fight to my satisfaction. Only then will I let one of you leave alive. I looked at the bodyguard, signaling him to untie them. I must survive. If it weren't for you, I would be the owner of the Zhao group now. You wretched girl, you deserve to die. At this moment, there wasn't a trace of tenderness in Zhou Liang'an's expression as he viciously slapped Chen Yunqing. Unwilling to show weakness, Chen Yunqing clawed at Zhou Liang'an's face with her fingernails, drawing blood. Zhou Liang'an endured the pain and picked up the large stone from the ground, smashing it heavily onto Chen Yunqing's face. Blow after blow, finally Chen Yunqing lay motionless in a pool of blood. I won, Cece. I killed her. Now get me out of this damn place. I promise I'll never think of another woman again. If you tell me to go east, I won't go west. I am your most obedient dog. Zhou Liang'an breathed heavily as he tossed the stone aside, looking at me with a flattering expression, fearing that I would leave him here alone. Are you obedient? Are you really obedient? There's no way you can get out of here. How can you be so naive? Can't you see that by now? You and Shen Yunqing betrayed me. How could I possibly let you two off? What a fool. I patted his cheek and wiped the blood on my hand onto his clothes. I'll give you 10 minutes to clean it up. If there's any evidence left, you'll be dog food tomorrow. I looked at Zhou Liang'an's wet crotch and, disgusted, covered my nose and got into the car to leave first. In the distance, a few dog barks were heard. They'd been hungry for days and finally got to eat some meat. When I got home, the bodyguard sent me a photo. The bloodstains on the ground were cleaned up completely, as if no one had ever been there. The group of dogs next to it all had round, full bellies. I smiled with satisfaction. Next, it was time to handle the company's affairs. Before his death, Zhou Liang'an finally did something good for me. When he framed me back then, I was scolded terribly, but now, the more money I earn, the better. No matter how thick the arm is, it cannot twist the thigh. This is the game capitalists should play. As for the two of them fighting again underground, it has nothing to do with me. I stood in front of the company's floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the hustle and bustle in the distance. A sense of peace filled my heart. Being a rich person is truly great. Next, I am going to enjoy my life to the fullest. My name is Zhao Cece. I fell in love with a very clean guy, but my father thought there was a hint of ambition in his eyes and did not agree for us to be together. So we made an agreement. If he could get along well with me for 3 years, he would become half-owner of the Zhao Group. Later, I became an ordinary designer at the company, working hard to earn money so I could marry Zhou Liang'an sooner. During the new year, I was going to hold a new product launch event. My dad said if I could create revenue for the company this time, he would let us go home together in advance. I was thrilled and worked even harder. To ensure the success of this launch event, I even made a military order with the company, agreeing to pay a huge penalty if I failed. I was extremely confident about this event, but I never expected Zhou Liang'an to steal my design drafts and give them to his childhood friend Shen Yunqing. The most crucial part is that she couldn't even take the opportunity handed to her, ruining the launch event and destroying my work. After the incident, she just cried incessantly without thinking, and even tried to shift the blame onto me. Zhou Liang'an forced me to find a solution for her. To make up for their mistake, he secretly stole my salary from the past 2 years to treat clients to meals. They came back in the middle of the night, throwing up everywhere and still expecting me to clean up after them. It's just so shameless. Looking at the man I had liked for 3 years, I suddenly felt it was meaningless. At the start, he treated me well, but ever since Shen Yunqing showed up, he only had eyes for her. I refused to be mistreated like this. So I called my dad and told him I wanted to come home. I laid it all out. I'm done pretending. I want to go back home and be the wealthy heiress I am. When I got home, I saw a business partner giving my dad a gift, which was coincidentally the wallet Zhou Liang'an had taken from my cabinet, as mine was a limited edition. I left the money and told the developer that the money's origin was shady and that I would never cooperate with him. Because of this, Shen Yunqing was driven to a dead end by me. I personally found her and told her a very good plan. That meant making her incite Zhou Liang'an to commit murder. Then I would give her 5 million, and she could pay off her debts. Shen Yunqing was tempted, so the love between her and Zhou Liang'an was not worth mentioning. They were ready to go their separate ways before facing their troubles together. Shen Yunqing is somewhat cunning, but not excessively so. She even knows how to record conversations. However, when I talked about the plan, I took out a high-tech RF device to ruin the tape of her recorder. So, she only managed to record the first half, and not a single word of the second half. My plan is to have her leave early and return late, making Zhou Liang'an mistakenly think she is constantly sacrificing hers. LF for money. Until he can no longer suppress his anger, then let Shen Yunqing return in tears and say that she was raped. The bruised hickeys on her body were not fake. Recently, she had been going out early and coming back late, actually having a passionate affair with another rich second-generation heir. Zhou Liang'an saw the marks on her body and believed her, and also believed in the powerful boss she mentioned. Shen Yunqing is his white moonlight, an incomparable existence. Upon learning that she was violated, he immediately decided to make the big boss pay. Actually, that big boss was just my archenemy in business, and he had been in a stalemate with my dad for many years without a clear victor. In my opinion, using a borrowed knife is the best method. I revealed the big boss's whereabouts to them, and during a torrential downpour, Zhou Liang'an took action. I successfully eliminated my archenemy. After he died, I annexed his company and gave his wife a large sum of money. The big boss was not a good person. He was very promiscuous. His wife had long wanted to divorce him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have easily obtained his whereabouts. So, as they say, karma always catches up. My strategy of killing 3 birds with 1 stone worked perfectly. Now, Dad can hand over the company to me. I had Chen Yunqing let the police take Zhou Liang'an away right in front of him. There will never be any affection between them again, only bitter hatred. I didn't expect that just after I sent Zhou Liang'an to the police, Chen Yunqing couldn't wait to come looking for me. She said she had a private video of Zhou Liang'an and me, demanding millions, clearly in a hurry to die. I had the butler take her to the villa in the mountains and lock her up, then I forged a psychiatric evaluation report to get Zhou Liang'an out. He thought he could enjoy life with me. Isn't he dreaming? I will send him to hell. I took Zhou Liang'an and Chen Yunqing to the mass grave, which is a place implicitly acknowledged within the circle for disposing of bodies. Zhou Liang'an was so scared that he wet his pants. To survive, he killed Chen Yunqing. The way that big rock smashed down, even I was a bit frightened. But he couldn't escape either. There was a pack of dogs in the mountains, usually starved to the bone, and they only got a full meal when someone made a mistake. And so, Zhou Liang'an and Chen Yunqing disappeared from this world completely. As for me, because I brought considerable business to the company, my father stepped down early and entrusted the entire company to me. My commercial empire, Zhao Cixi, is coming. What good are men? They only slow down my contract negotiations. In this life, I will only enjoy eating, drinking, playing,